She threw her phone at the hotel wall when the message came through. Start from zero. That's all it said. Her lover, half asleep in the king-size bed I unknowingly paid for, asked, "Everything all right, babe?" No, everything was not all right. Because in the next 5 minutes, Brittany found out her flight was canceled. Her credit cards declined. Hotel reservation locked. And every dollar in our shared account? Gone. I had shut it all down. She'd spent our money flying to Greece with her new boy toy, calling it her new beginning. She didn't know I'd been watching, planning, preparing. And now she was stuck 5,000 miles away from home, with nothing. She wanted freedom? She got it. But now she'd have to earn it from scratch. 2 weeks earlier, I sat in our kitchen, staring at a half-drunk glass of orange juice. Brittany was upstairs, probably still asleep or fake snoring just to avoid speaking to me. That morning felt different. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was loaded. She used to come downstairs in a robe, stealing bacon off my plate. Now, the only thing she stole was my time. And, as I would soon learn, my money. I reached for her laptop. Not because I was snooping. I was looking for a file our accountant had asked her to forward. Brittany always handled the tax paperwork. She was supposed to be the organized one. But when I opened the desktop, I saw a folder labeled travel stuff. Harmless name. But when you've been married long enough, you know when something's not right. Click. The first file was a PDF confirmation. 2 first-class tickets to Santorini. Date. Next week. Passenger 1. Brittany Cooper. Passenger 2. Christopher Romano. Who the hell was Christopher Romano? The next document was a hotel booking, a honeymoon suite. For Mr. Romano and Ms. Cooper. Celebrating a new beginning. My jaw locked. The room tilted slightly. I wanted to slam the screen shut, pretend I hadn't seen it. But I couldn't. My hand kept clicking. There were screenshots too. Her text with him. Heart emojis. Pictures of them at some bar. One thread said, "He's boring. A walking wallet. But I'll make it worth it when this is over." Another. "He still thinks I love him. Can you believe that?" LMAO. And then the spreadsheet. My blood ran cold when I opened it. Title, Divorce Strategy. She listed assets. What she wanted. Even quotes from her friend Katie about pushing his buttons, so I'd snap, and she could file under mental abuse. It wasn't a love affair. It was a goddamn operation. That's when the switch flipped. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. That version of me, the man who begged for her attention, who tried to fix things, died right there at the kitchen table. I became someone else. Someone precise. Calculated. I took photos of every file. Uploaded them to an encrypted drive. Then I shut the laptop and placed it exactly how she left it. Not a fingerprint out of place. Next day, I went to my lawyer. "You sure you want to do this quietly?" he asked. "No," I said. "I want to do it perfectly." I started moving funds. Canceled her access to every card. Made sure the house and cars were in my name only. Called my cousin in IT to monitor her phone activity, legally, of course, since we were on a shared plan. Then I waited. I didn't confront her. I smiled when she left the house. Said nothing when she said she had a girls' spa weekend planned. The day she left for Santorini, she kissed my cheek, the same mouth that had just been on someone else the night before, and said, "Don't wait up." I nodded. "I won't." And I didn't. I waited exactly 48 hours. Long enough for her to relax. For the hotel to hold her luggage. For her to post her little victory photos with her tan and her lover and her stupid wine glass. Then I burned everything. The bank accounts. The return flight. The shared streaming services, even. And then came the message. Start from zero. She built this little fantasy life with my name, my money, my trust. Now she was going to live without all three. The first call came at 3:17 a.m. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, lighting up the darkroom. I was already awake. Couldn't sleep. Not from guilt. From anticipation. Caller ID, Brittany. I let it ring out. A minute later, another one. Then came the texts, back to back. Something's wrong with the card? The hotel's saying it's not paid for? Jackson? Why are the flights canceled? What's going on? I didn't respond. Not because I wanted her to suffer, okay, maybe a little, but because there was nothing left to say. She'd made her choice. And I had made mine. After the 10th missed call, she sent a voice note. She was panicked, breathing fast. "Jack, okay, I don't know what's going on. The manager said the reservation's void, and I can't access any money. I'm stranded. This isn't funny. Call me." The tone flipped instantly. Next message. You're such a child. You always do this, shut down when things get tough. Grow the hell up and talk to me like a man. Talk like a man? She was laying next to another man on a trip I paid for, and she wanted maturity? By 4 a.m., she tried a new strategy, pity. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I have nothing on me. I'm thousands of miles away. I'm sorry, okay? Just please pick up. That one nearly got me. But then I remembered the spreadsheet. The messages. Her laugh at my expense. She wasn't sorry. She was caught. And now she was alone. I stared at the ceiling, the fan above slowly turning, and wondered if she realized yet just how deep she had burned the bridge. Not just the marriage. Not just trust. She scorched the entire path between us. By the time the sun rose, she had switched tactics again. A selfie came through. No makeup. Tears in her eyes. Sitting on the floor of the airport. Please don't do this. I looked at that picture for a long time. Not because I felt sympathy, but because it confirmed something. She still thought I was the same man she married. The man who apologized first. Who forgave without question. Who made excuses for her cruelty. But that man no longer lived in this house. And she no longer lived in my heart. I texted back just one word. Goodbye. Then I blocked her number. All of them, phone, WhatsApp, even email. I wasn't giving her a stage to cry on. No more drama. No final performance. Just the silence she deserved. She had gone there to start over with another man. To abandon our life. Our vows. And she used my resources to do it, thinking I'd just sit and let it happen. Now she got exactly what she wanted. A new beginning. The only catch? It didn't come with a penthouse view or a return ticket. She'd have to build her next chapter the same way I built mine, from zero. Only difference? I built mine with integrity. She built hers on betrayal. And the cost of betrayal? Everything. As I sat on the back porch with my coffee, the morning birds just starting to sing, I realized I wasn't even angry anymore. I was free. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. Wasn't defending myself from subtle jabs and gaslighting. Wasn't wondering if the woman in my bed respected me. Because now I knew the answer. She never did. But now? Now she'd have to respect my silence. It took her 4 days to make it back to the States. I didn't ask how. Maybe she sold something. Maybe she begged. Maybe her lover bailed and left her standing alone at the gate. Poetic justice. But none of that mattered anymore. What mattered was what I saw through the peephole at 10:14 p.m. that Thursday. Brittany. Hair tied back. Face pale. Luggage in one hand. Phone in the other. Knocking like nothing had changed. Like this was just a bad fight between a couple who still had a future. I didn't open the door. She knocked again, harder this time. Then a pause. Then, Jackson. Open the door. Please. Her voice was soft. Practiced. The same tone she used when she wanted to buy something expensive. Like I was a wallet, not a man. I turned on the porch light through the app on my phone. She looked up, shielding her eyes. That's when she saw the camera in the corner above the door. I watched her face crumble in time. She knew I was watching. I opened the mic. You don't live here anymore. Are you kidding me? Her voice cracked, but not from pain, from disbelief. You're seriously doing this right now? You started this, I said calmly. With a man named Chris Romano. Ring a bell? Silence. Then, that wasn't real. You don't understand it. I understand perfectly. She blinked. We can fix this. No, I said. You broke it with spreadsheets and champagne. She glanced at her phone, probably thinking of who else to call. Katie? Her sister? No one would help. I had already told our circle the truth. Quietly. Professionally. With proof. I watched her shoulders slump. Then came the switch. You're a coward, she hissed. A weak, insecure little man who had to wait until I left to grow a spine. I smiled at the screen. There she was. The real Brittany. I muted the mic. Let her yell. Let her scratch at the door and cry for 20 straight minutes. Then she stopped. Sat on the steps. Just breathing. At 11:03, she sent one final message. I don't have anywhere to go. I didn't respond. Because I wasn't her home anymore. The next morning, her things were gone from the front porch. Every trace of her life with me erased. She must have figured out I was serious. I didn't gloat. There's no satisfaction in watching someone collapse under their own lies. There's only clarity. And I finally had it. For years, I'd made excuses. Ignored red flags. Justified cruel comments. Laughed off her flirting with strangers. Let her twist every argument until I was the villain for caring too much. I thought loyalty meant endurance. But it doesn't. Loyalty means nothing if it's one-sided. She took advantage of a man who loved her too much to walk away. Until now. I made coffee like usual. Read emails. Took a Zoom call. There was no ache in my chest. No hole in my bed. Just quiet. Later that day, I dropped off the divorce papers at her sister's house. No drama. No argument. Just a clean envelope with her name on it. And a sticky note that said, "You already left. This just makes it official." I went home. Sat in the empty living room she once decorated with fake smiles and overpriced candles. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace.it had been 6 days since she showed up on my doorstep. 6 days of silence. Until my lawyer called. "Jackson," he said, "you need to sit down." "Already am," I replied, half joking. "She's contesting the divorce." I stopped breathing for a second. "What do you mean contesting?" "She's filing a claim for spousal support. Says you blindsided her, left her with nothing, and emotionally manipulated her into isolation. She wants the house. Half your assets. In full alimony." I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. But it wasn't funny. It was insane. The woman who emptied our joint savings to go screw someone else in another country was now claiming I abused her emotionally? "Tell me you've got the evidence," I said. "Everything you sent me, texts, emails, bank transfers, the vacation receipts. It's all airtight." But she's lawyered up. And she's playing dirty. I should have expected it. Brittany never backed down unless she could twist the outcome into her favor. And now that she had no power, no money, no one left to manipulate, she reached for the only thing still carrying my name. My reputation. But I was ready. 2 hours later, I walked into my office and opened a locked drawer. Pulled out a black leather folder I never thought I'd need. Inside, screenshots of her messages with Romano. Voice memos she sent to friends. And a note I had nearly forgotten about, handwritten by her, dated 6 months ago. "If you screw me over, I'll make sure people think you hit me." She meant it as a joke at the time. We were tipsy. She laughed as she said it. But I kept it. Just in case. I scanned it, added it to the case file, and handed it over to my attorney. "Bring the fire," I told him. He nodded. "It's time." The hearing was scheduled for Monday morning. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not my friends. I wanted no noise. No distractions. I wanted Brittany to walk into that courtroom thinking I'd crumble under the weight of her lies. She always underestimated quiet men. When the day came, she arrived in a white blouse, minimal makeup, hair pulled back, the innocent look. She didn't make eye contact. Her lawyer did all the talking. Said I was controlling. That I froze her accounts in an act of psychological warfare. That she was stranded in a foreign country like a prisoner of her own marriage. I stayed silent. Let her bury herself in melodrama. Then my lawyer stood up, opened a binder, and laid it all out. The screenshots. The transfers. The fake girl's trip that turned into a honeymoon suite with her side piece. The strategy document. The messages about using false claims to drain me in court. The judge read everything. Her lawyer's smile cracked. Brittany's face? Blank. Like she didn't recognize the world she created. And then the final nail. The sticky note I left with the divorce papers. The judge read it aloud. "You already left. This just makes it official." Silence. Then came the ruling. She got nothing. No house. No alimony. No assets. Just her maiden name and an empty future. As we walked out of the courtroom, she brushed past me. No apology. No tears. Just a whisper. "You'll regret this." I turned to her and said one word. "Already did." By Tuesday, the news had spread. Not tabloid headlines or Twitter drama, just whispers among people who used to believe her stories. Her inner circle. Our mutual friends. Even her family. Brittany had always been the type to perform for the audience. Dramatic pauses, crocodile tears, twisted truths designed to make her the victim in every room. For years, I watched her spin arguments into tragedies and facts into fiction. And everyone believed her because she was charming, beautiful, and loud enough to drown out reason. But court records don't lie. Screenshots don't lie. And the silence she left the courthouse in? That silence spoke volumes. Katie, her best friend, texted me the day after the verdict. I didn't know how bad it got. "I'm sorry I believed her over you." I didn't reply. Her mother called too. She never used to call me. She was the type who thought no man was ever good enough for her daughter, especially not one who built his life from scratch instead of inheriting it. "Jackson," she said softly, "I'm just shocked." "So was I said, and hung up. I didn't need apologies. I didn't need validation. I just needed to feel like I could breathe again. And for the first time in years, I was. No one knocking at the door at 2 a.m. drunk and screaming. No guilt-tripping messages about how I was never present. No walking on verbal landmines. The house was quiet. And it was mine. But Brittany didn't go quietly for long. That weekend, someone tagged me in a post on Facebook. It was her. A selfie with tears in her eyes, captioned, "When your husband destroys your life and paints you as a monster, but you still believe in love." Thousands of likes. Comments like, "Stay strong, queen. He'll regret losing someone like you. You deserve the world." She was playing the game again. Only this time, I had the rulebook. I didn't respond publicly. I didn't need to. Instead, I sent the court transcript to one anonymous Gmail I had created months earlier, along with the full PDF of her vacation plans, her texts, and the spreadsheet titled Divorce Strategy. Then I clicked upload. The next morning, her post was gone. And so was her credibility. The screenshots made it to Reddit. Someone posted them on a subreddit dedicated to relationship justice. It exploded. She deleted every social media account within 24 hours. Her last post was a vague quote on Instagram. "Sometimes villains wear wedding rings." She was right, but not in the way she meant. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. I was past anger. I had walked through fire and come out colder. There's something sobering about watching someone try every weapon they have and realizing none of them can touch you anymore. She could cry, scream, blame, beg, but I'd heard it all before. And this time, it wasn't working. Because the difference between Brittany and me was simple. I had proof. She had followers. And when the lies ran out, so did they. I kept living. I didn't date. Not yet. I wasn't ready. But I started going to the gym again. Got back into my old hobbies. Even spent a weekend with my brothers fishing, something I hadn't done in years because she always hated the smell. And one night, I came home, walked into the kitchen, and just stood there. No mess. No drama. No noise. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the faint breeze from the open window. And I whispered to myself, "Peace costs more than love, but it's worth every cent." It had been nearly 2 months since the courtroom, since her world fell apart. I hadn't heard from Brittany in over 6 weeks. No texts, no calls, no fake emails. No sad-face posts for attention. The silence itself had become suspicious. Until she showed up again. This time, not in heels or designer sunglasses. No fake tears. No smug smirk. Just jeans, an old hoodie, and a look I didn't recognize. Empty. She stood at the edge of my driveway like a stranger, not even coming up to the door. Just watching the house like it was a memory she was trying to step back into. I saw her through the window but didn't move. Eventually, I opened the door and stood in the frame. She took a step forward. "I'm not here to fight." "Then why are you here?" She glanced at the porch like she missed sitting there, wine in one hand, insult in the other. "I just wanted to see it one last time." "You mean the house?" She nodded. "Everything. Us. What we had." I leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed. "What we had died a long time ago. You just made it official." She looked down. "I wasn't trying to destroy everything." "Yes, you were. You just thought you'd win." Silence. And then she said something I never thought I'd hear come out of her mouth. "I thought you'd chase me." I blinked. She wasn't crying. There was no performance this time. Just a quiet confession. "I thought I could push you away, disappear with someone else, and you'd follow. That you'd fight to get me back. Like always." "And what would that prove?" I asked. "That you loved me." I let the air sit between us for a full minute. My heart wasn't racing. I wasn't angry. I was done. "That's not love," I said. "That's a game. And I'm not playing anymore." She smiled sadly. "You're colder than I remember." "No," I said. "I'm just finally warm without you." She looked at me one last time, the wind catching strands of her hair. There was a trace of the woman I once loved in her face. But only a trace. "You're not even going to say goodbye?" she asked. "I did," I said. "Back in Greece. You just didn't hear it over the sound of your fantasy falling apart." She turned and walked away. No drama. No begging. Just silence. I watched her go. Not with satisfaction. Not with hate. Just acceptance. I closed the door, locked it gently, and poured myself a drink. Sat down on the couch and stared out the window. The same window she used to decorate with fairy lights. The same couch where she once pretended we were a perfect couple for holiday cards and Instagram likes. And for the first time, I realized something deep. She wasn't the storm that ruined my life. She was the test that proved I could rebuild after it. Brittany didn't break me. She exposed what was already broken, the belief that love means sacrificing yourself until there's nothing left to give. I finally stopped giving and started living. She may have visited the house, but I never let her back inside. Not through the door. Not into my life. Not into my mind. She had already taken too much space. Now it was mine again. All of it. A few weeks passed. Fall rolled in. The air turned sharper. Leaves started falling like quiet reminders that not everything dies violently. Some things just drift away, piece by piece, until you wake up and realize the landscape has changed. That's how Brittany disappeared from my life. Not with a bang, but like a season that overstayed its welcome. One day, I opened a drawer and found her old perfume bottle. Half full. I held it for a second, expecting a reaction. Nostalgia, maybe. Regret. But there was nothing. Just a memory of something that once had power, now empty of meaning. So I tossed it in the trash. I started replacing everything. New sheets. New couch. I even repainted the walls in the bedroom. Not because I couldn't stand what she left behind, but because I wanted nothing in my home that carried her fingerprint. She built lies in this house. Now I was building peace. I thought a lot about the man I used to be. The one who laughed at her jokes even when they were sharp. The one who adjusted his life so she'd be more comfortable, even when it cost him himself. The one who saw the red flags and painted them white. I don't hate that man, but I'll never be him again. Because that man didn't understand the difference between love and submission. Brittany didn't love me. She loved control. Loved the image of being adored. Loved being desired, envied, posted, praised. And as long as I provided that pedestal, she stayed. But the second I asked to be seen, really seen, she looked away. I had one last task to finish. Something for myself. I booked a solo trip. Not to Greece. Not to some luxury resort. I chose a quiet cabin in the mountains, just me and the cold, clean air. I brought a journal. No phone signal. No distractions. I spent 3 days there. Writing. Walking. Sitting in silence with a man I hadn't truly been alone with in years myself. And on the last night, I wrote something at the top of the final page. You survived her. Now build without her. That sentence stayed with me. Because survival wasn't enough. It wasn't about moving on. It was about moving up. Learning that being alone isn't failure. That peace is louder than passion. That love, real love, doesn't cost your dignity. When I came home, I stood in the doorway for a while. Not because I was expecting someone to greet me, but because the silence felt good. It felt earned. I had made it through the fire, the courtroom, the lies, the betrayal, and came out cleaner on the other side. No bitterness. No revenge left to taste. Just clarity. So, if you're reading this, or watching this, or hearing this from a man who's been through the storm, listen. If you ever have to fight for someone who's already walking away, let them go. If you ever find yourself apologizing for asking to be loved, stop asking. And if someone ever uses your loyalty against you, weaponizes your love to build a prison, remember. You have the key. Use it. I did. And I left the door behind me wide open. Not for her return, but for the man I became when she was finally gone.